Dear friends, a guten night of Shabbos. Today is the yahrzeit, the petita of Shmuel Hanavi. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch, Archaim Siman Tov Kuf Pei. To go today to the cave of Shmuel Hanavi, the neighborhood is called Navi Samuel. The Arabs revere the place. They built a mosque there about 500 years ago. And if you go upstairs, there's a mosque, and downstairs you go from the side, there's a Beis HaKnesses. There was a tour guide there once with American Jews, and someone asked, what's the upstairs and the downstairs? The tour guide said, well, don't you know? The Shmuel Aleph and Shmuel Beis. It's brought from the Arizal that this is the authentic place. This is the place of Rama. This is the place that Shmuel Hanavi lived, and this is the place where he was buried. We know that Yidden davened there for hundreds of years. Rabbi Yechiel Paris from the Balei HaTosfos had a student that traveled there, and he reports how the Yidden daven there. Actually, there's a traveler who reported that the Arabs once decided that Jews can't pray there. They can't daven there. And that night, the caretaker felt an old man grab him by the neck. An old man with a white beard, grab him by the neck. Who are you? I am the Navi Shmuel, said the man. You better give the keys back to the Jews. The Jews received the key. Until now, there is a Beis HaKnesses and a Beis HaMedrash, a shul in the downstairs in the cave of Shmuel Hanavi. The Radvaz actually brings that there was the old minhag that when they did a Opshernish, they would do it at the cave of Shmuel Hanavi. Later, it a little changed because the Arizal said to do it by Miram, by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and they used to take the locks of hair and weigh them and give the weight in gold or silver for tzedakah for poor people. Chazal say about Shmuel Hanavi. In general, Shmuel Hanavi, Chazal say that Moshe b'Aaron v'Choynav b'Shmuel b'Koyim Shmoi. Moshe b'Aaron b'Koyrav v'Shmuel b'Koyim Shmoi. So Chazal say that Shmuel was shokel kem Moshe v'Aaron. He was as great as Moshe v'Aaron put together. Chazal say, "V'holach midei shana b'shana v'sovev beisel v'agilgol v'amitzpah v'shofet es Yisrael eis kol ha'makom ha'ela u'sushuvase ha'ramasa k'sham beisel v'sham shofet es Yisrael." Basically, that Shmuel would travel. He every year would do a circle, travel from town to town by the Jews, and he would be shofet the Jews. The Gemara asks. The Marsov explains, like, why do you have to say Kisham Beise? Chuvasa Mermasa, he comes back to Rama. And what does it mean? Visham Shafa, there he judged. He judged the Jews in all their cities. So the Gemara says that Eroitza Lehonis, Yehona Kalisha. Eroitza Shaloi Lehonis, Einai Nene Ke Shmuel Hanavi. That a person traveling, a Talmud Chochem, could allow people to give him the pleasure of staying in their house and giving him gifts, like Elisha, or he could refuse it like Shmuel Hanavi, because it says Kisham Beisa, like the Gemara, wherever he traveled, that was his house. He simply would go with a backpack, and he would go with a tent. He would come to a town, he didn't want to go, he didn't check into Motel 6, Verstetzach, he didn't go to the Marriott and take a fancy hotel. He pitched his tent outside, and that's where he would sleep at night. He would take what he needed with him, a kvart, a shissel, and he would have his tent, and that's how he would travel. So I think today, which is the yahrzeit of Shmuel Hanavi, and incidentally today the Arabs have taken possession of Yerushalayim for several years, from 1948, and the Yidden had a miracle in 1967 to liberate Yerushalayim and the cave of Shmuel Hanavi as well. Near the cave of Shmuel Hanavi, there was a construction going on that was going to be the king of Jordan's summer palace. Baruch Hashem, his plans got cut at once. And on the same day of the yahrzeit of Shmuel Hanavi was when Yerushalayim was liberated. So Shmuel Hanavi would travel, could you imagine, with a backpack. He would take a backpack, he would take a tent, and he would travel from town to town. So if you like taking your backpack and you like to go with a tent into the wilderness, please join me today. And we will travel with Shmuel Hanavi. We will take 6 stops. We're starting to learn Bamidbar. and we'll travel 6 stops in Bamidbar. Chazal say, Loma nitna Torah Bamidbar. Why was the Torah given in the Midbar? The Medrash, Rabbi, and the Tanchuma asked the question. And there's basically 3 answers in the Medrash. Number 1, Shahakal Shavimba. If the Torah would be given in the land of Yehuda, Yehuda would say, the Torah really belongs to me. You guys are secondary. Or if it was given in the land of Yisachar, Yisachar would say, the Torah belongs to me. The Torah, the Eibusher said, I'll give you the Torah in the desert. Everyone is equal. It doesn't matter who you are and what's your yichus. Every Yid, and Chazal say, Hizaru bivnei aniyim shemehem teitzei Torah. Be careful with the children of the poor. These are the people that will be tomorrow's Gedolei Yisrael. They will be the ones that teach Torah. Torah belongs to every Yid equally. Second lesson, the Medrash says that just like in the desert, you don't pay taxes in the property taxes in the desert. You know, it's cheap to go camping. If you go in New York State, in the average camping site is $18 a night. Where are you going to get a hotel for $18 a night? To be in the desert, there's no taxes. There's no real estate taxes. The same thing a Yid that accepts oil Torah, they take away the oil Malchus and the oil Derecheretz from that Yid. Number 3, the Medrash says that the Torah is only Mekayim, is only standing by Yid that's maflig atzma min hakoil. He goes and runs away from everything, the hoo-ha of the world, and he sinks into learning Torah. These are 3 stops in the Midbar, and we'll take 3 more stops in the Midbar. There is an Asicha from the Rebbe in Shabbos Bamidbar, Mevorchim and Erev Reish Chodesh Sivan in the year Tov Shalamed Beis, which is a kvius like this year, where the Rebbe said even a child can understand 3 simple lessons from the fact that the Torah was given in the Midbar, and from starting to read the Torah in Bamidbar, the Shabbos that's right before Matan Torah. Number 1, Midbar is a place, there's no water, there's no drink, there's nothing there. So therefore, a person should know that a Yid that's Mekayim Divrei Torah Ma'oini Soifa L'Kayim Me'oisher. That even if it's a difficult financial time for Klal Yisrael, and there are people that have been out of jobs for a nice couple of weeks, and they're struggling in Parnasa, a Yid has to know that it doesn't have to be in a fancy place. It could be in the desert. And a Yid puts himself into Limud Torah, just like all of Klal Yisrael is now doing, with an unbelievable Yisoidus. And then the Eibusher guarantees that you started learning Torah Ma'oni, eventually it'll be Miyoshe. But don't say, well, I have time. Start learning even though when you're in the Midbar. A second lesson is, when you're in a cosmopolitan place, this is what this person says, what the other person says, Yevish Maligim, there can be scoffers, there can be people that are looking at you. When I eat this in the desert, who cares what anyone thinks? How I dress? Do I have to have pressed shirts from the cleaners? How do I care? I'm home anyway. Can wear a t-shirt and slippers. That's the way I eat has to serve the Eibusher. It doesn't matter what the world says. I know what my neshama says. It's as if I'm in the desert. And a third station in the desert is that sometimes you meet a Yid, he's a desert Yid. Like the Alter Rebbe says about the desert, it's Eretz Lo Zarua. There's no Peiris that's mitzvahs. There's no Torah that's Eimayim ala Torah. A desert Yid. But you met this Yid, it's Ashgocha Protas. You should know every Yid is shaykh to learn Torah. And we have to influence every single Yid to learn Torah. Nachsidim the Alter Rebbe said, Hob holta Yid vet Eibusher dir holt haben. Tu a toiva Yid vet Eibusher dir a toiva ton. If you love a Jew, the Eibusher will love you. Do a favor to a Jew, and the Eibusher will show you a favor. And it's when a person shows to another Yid that he loves another Yid, to influence him and teach him the sweetness of the Torah, the Eibusher shows back that same kindness and love. Says, I've moided the kevart from the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says, I don't understand. How did he take a backpack and a tent and travel from town to town? His mother made a vow. His mother said, V'yoshav sham ad oilam. It's a Chassam Sofer Chashemish B'Tzimantes. That he will live in the place of Hashem ad oilam, to eternity. So how is he traveling from place to place? So says the Chassam Sofer, we learn from here that if you make a neder to give this, you could give this. If you say you're going to give 100, you can give 200. She said he's going to be dedicated to learn Torah all day in the house of Hashem, to serve Hashem. He did more. He taught Torah to all of Klal Yisrael. He went around to man and woman and made sure that they felt the sweetness of Torah. So it was his mother's neder plus. So today is a terrific day. It's Chof Chesir, and we have to take a lesson from going into Kabbalah Satorah, from the fact that we're starting to read Bamidbar, to take a lesson from these 6 stations of Bamidbar. There's a sefer about stories in Yerushalayim, a remarkable story. They said that when the Yidden were in Yerushalayim, they knew that if Chas v'Shalom there was a magefa, a pandemic, and it many times broke out, especially because the Arabs lived under very unsanitary conditions. So they would go and they would take little tents and mats and they would go sleep under the sky next to the cave of Shmuel Hanavi. So there happened once that there was a pandemic in Yerushalayim, and they all went out of the city. These were a lot of the Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon that were in Yerushalayim. But the Tenoike Shabbos Rabbim, the children, they were concerned because the pasuk says it's the Vayetze, Mitzi, and Kol Adora, that these are Tenoike Shabbos Rabbim, to take the children that are learning out of the yeshivas. How do you close down a yeshiva? So the 2 Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon, Reb Hillel Mendel, made a Shailas Cholam. They went to the Koisel Amarov and they davened, and the Gaon came to tell them that no, you got to close the schools. It's dangerous. The kids have to go out of Yerushalayim. It's dangerous. You have to close the school. But don't worry, help is on the way. Erev Shabbos, when the Yiddish women will light the Shabbos candles, the machla will vanish. V'kachav. So it's remarkable because I think the story has a lot of relevance to us today. Unfortunately, I think virtually all schools closed, but definitely they did the right thing. But Eibush shall helfen with all these oiridus of Klal Yisrael, with this tremendous oiridus of Klal Yisrael. I know here in Beis Menachem Mendel, the participation in Shiurim and Farbrengens went up in an incredible way, in quality and quantity, and everyone is into it. Mamish, you can feel that people are taking the lesson. We are all taking the lesson on Bamidbar. The Torah doesn't belong to one of us, but all of us threw ourselves into it. So the Eibush shall helfen that now it's the Shabbos Bamidbar before Matan Torah, that the Eibush should open our eyes and we should be makabel the Torah besimcha abepnimius, and before we get a chance, when the women are getting ready to light the Shabbos candles, that we should find out that that's it. There's no more concern. There's no more concern about any pandemic and this pandemic, because in the schus of the Neder Shabbos Kodesh, the Eibster says, "Animar lochem Neder shel Tzion," that before we know it, we should see the beautiful candles in Yerushalayim Eira Kodesh, in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi VaMeshulash.